Political crisis that loomed over the Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli's government seems to have temporarily subsided. All eyes are now on today's party secretariat meeting, followed by tomorrow's standing committee meeting. There are chances that the alliance against Premier Oli could present itself strongly in the upcoming meetings. Good morning, I'm Amar Singh Pradhan and these are the headlines of the hour. 7 more coronavirus cases confirmed in Nepalganj, taking the total cases in Nepal to 82. Local administration imposes prohibitory order to contain lockdown violations. Udaipur and Bankir's Nepalganj sub-metropolis see a surge in coronavirus cases due to lockdown violations. High-level committee recommends extension of the lockdown. As many as 30,000 Nepali migrant workers in Kuwait and Malaysia kept under the list to return home after losing legal status. Government indifferent towards managing the migrants. And the UK exceeds all other European nations in terms of COVID-19 fatalities. Death tally crosses 29,000 across the UK. Seven more individuals in Nepalganj, Banke have been detected with the novel coronavirus, taking the total number of cases across the country to 82. The number of coronavirus cases in Nepalganj alone has climbed to 23. 3 men aged between 22 to 40 years, along with females aged between 9 to 55 years, were detected with the virus in Nepalganj yesterday. According to the Ministry of Health and Population, the health of the infected people is normal.
7 जनामा नयाँ संक्रमितहरू पोजिटिभ हुनुभएको छ। बाँके जिल्ला नेपालगञ्जका 22, 30 र 40 वर्षका 3 जना पुरुष र 9, 32, 34 र 55 वर्षका 4 जना महिलाहरूको स्वाब नमुना परीक्षण गर्दा भेरी अस्पतालमा पोजिटिभ देखिएको हो। यसरी कुल संक्रमितको संख्या 82 पुगेको छ, जसमध्ये 61 जना पुरुष हुनुहुन्छ भने 21 जना महिला हुनुहुन्छ।
Among the 82 people infected with coronavirus so far in the country, 16 have already recovered and returned home. Although PCR machines have been installed in 17 different laboratories across the country, the frequency of tests have recently slowed down. Meanwhile, according to the Ministry of Health and Population, altogether 13,050 tests for coronavirus have been conducted via PCR across the country, while 52,227 through rapid diagnostic tests have been conducted so far. The ministry said that additional 1,582 RDT tests were carried out yesterday in the country. Meanwhile, the residents in Bankir's Nepalganj have clashed with police amid the prohibitory order imposed by the local administration. The clash occurred yesterday afternoon when the police tried to clear a crowd of people who had gathered at Rani Talao, close to Nepalganj sub-metropolis, Ward number 8, where 23 individuals have recently been detected with the novel coronavirus. The local administration has imposed the prohibitory order in Nepalganj as the locals kept violating the lockdown measures despite the frequent increase in coronavirus cases in the sub-metropolis recently. Likewise, the local authority has been collecting the swab samples of the people who had been in contact with the individuals who tested positive for coronavirus this Sunday. The authority has also been tracing the contacts of the 7 individuals in Nepalganj who tested positive for the COVID-19 yesterday. The high-level committee formed to prevent and contain the coronavirus outbreak in the country has recommended the government to extend the nationwide lockdown. The meeting of the Council of Ministers slated for today is to decide the duration of the extension of the lockdown. Speaking at the meeting of the high-level committee held yesterday afternoon, Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli said that there was no other alternative than to extend the lockdown at this juncture. At the meeting, Secretary of the Prime Minister's office, Narayan Prasad Bidari, had presented a report on behalf of the Emergency Response Center, which had proposed for easing the lockdown measures in certain areas by dividing regions in different categories as per the infection rates and risk analysis. Meanwhile, the high-level committee has included Kathmandu among the risk zone, despite having no reported active cases in the valley. At the meeting, Prime Minister said that easing the lockdown measures right away would increase the risk of COVID-19 outbreak, citing that the infected cases is in its peak in the southern neighbor India. Prime Minister Oli has also directed all the concerned authorities to expedite coronavirus tests across the country. Meanwhile, it is the 44th day of the nationwide lockdown today. However, blatant violations of the lockdown measures in Udaipur and Banki's Nepalganj sub-metropolis have raised risk of the virus outbreak in these regions. Many major thoroughfares, including marketplaces in Nepalganj, have often been crowded by the locals despite the lockdown and the rising cases of infection in the region. As many as 23 individuals have tested positive for COVID-19 in Nepalganj so far. Earlier, 28 people were detected with the novel coronavirus in Udaipur's Bhulke region. The frequent increase in the coronavirus cases in these areas has been attributed to the locals violating the norms of social distancing. Likewise, hundreds of people have continued entering Nepal from India through different border transits without health screening, while hundreds have also been entering Kathmandu Valley from other districts violating the lockdown measures. This has raised the risk of the virus outbreak even in the regions that have so far been safe from the infection. It is crucial for the government to implement the lockdown measures not only within the capital but also when it comes to traveling across districts and through the border transits with India. Experts are also of the view that merely extending the lockdown without expanding the coronavirus test across the country would turn ineffective in terms of preventing the coronavirus outbreak in the long run. Likewise, it's also crucial for the government to have a comprehensive alternative plan to ease the general public's distress induced by the lockdown so as to attain a sustainable outlet to the current coronavirus crisis. Welcome back to Kantipur News. And in the context of the unforeseen scenario triggered by novel coronavirus pandemic, we are having a little conversation with Dr. Sanjeev Sapkota, an expert in public health and chairman of NRNA Health Committee, joining us all the way from Atlanta, Georgia in the USA. Dr. Sapkota, what is the latest update do you have from the USA, given that the coronavirus is said to have crossed its peak and is subsiding in the US?
Right. Thank you very much. In the US, almost 1.17 million people has been infected so far. Of those, at least 68,000 has unfortunately died. As you said, many cities has actually picked, but I mean, as the cities are picking up, it's actually spreading out to the rural area and the other surrounding areas. So, for example, it is picking up it's kind of a spiked, and then the spike has come down, trying to come down in New York and New Jersey, but it is going to other areas like Chicago, Maryland, and coming down to South. So most of the eastern coast of the United States are heavily impacted. The middle America is not that much impacted, but if you go to the western coast, again, the situation is again there. Among the Nepali communities also actually, those who are living in the New York and the New Jersey area, they are actually correspondingly impacted similarly as with the other mainstream American people. Those, in the United States, a lot of people reside, a lot of Nepali origin people reside in New York, Texas, and the California area. Those are the places where the virus infection has been picking up. But as it is picking up and as it is kind of subsiding in the major metropolitan cities, it is coming out. To other areas. So there is no sign of actually stopping of the rate of the infection. It's actually it's still going on right now in the U.S.
Okay, Dr. Sapkota, so we have these reports of different kinds of medicines used in USA to treat COVID-19. Like, for example, we had reports of anti-malaria drugs. Can you give us some details about what is the exact medicines presently used for the treatment of COVID-19?
Right. right? I would like to start by prevention. Prevention is the best medicine. I mean, we all need to be, I mean, whether we are in the USA or UK or Nepal, try not to get infected, because that's the best way of, not having the infection. And there are many ways not to get infected. I mean, once we are infected, then, 80% people, I mean, in general, will be of mild and moderate cases, and they will recover well. But 20% people would get hospitalized, and the treatment, I mean, as of now, there is no, the cure or treatment for the virus. I mean, all we are doing is symptomatic, treatment. That means if you have fever, treat your fever. If you have difficulty, breathing, then take oxygen and from the hospitals and all those area. The mild cases would have fever and some difficulty breathing, but severe cases would have pneumonia, and then pneumonia you treat with antibiotic, and severe pneumonia you treat with IV antibiotic. But as you mentioned, there are some new drugs and some experiment drugs have been coming out. For example, the hydroxychloroquine, as you mentioned, and remdesivir, that is another antiviral. About hydroxychloroquine, it has shown some improvement in some areas, not all. I just want to caution everyone. It's not a remedy for the virus now. I mean, there are some positive, news coming out, some risks coming out, but still, at large, is actually, I mean, we don't have seen any encouraging news, meaning that there are some, positive, like pocket areas where people have tried hydroxychloroquine. There are some improvement, but it does not work for everyone, and does not work, in a manner that we all expect it to work. I mean, it's not like an antibiotic or kind of panacea. It's actually out there, but not. It kind of the best treatment. I mean, and the doctors actually, are at liberty to prescribe those, and if the patient wants and the doctors wants, to see whether it works or not, then they can prescribe hydroxychloroquine. But there are some adverse reactions as well. I mean, that need to be taken care as well. So that's for the hydroxychloroquine. There is one antiviral that has been given approval by the FDA in the USA. That's called remdesivir. Remdesivir is an antiviral that was being treated for lupus and Ebola virus. Now, it has shown some improvement by 30%. So, for example, if a person actually goes for, let's say, 10 days with a symptom, if you take a remdesivir, their symptom might last for 7 days only. So 30% improvement chances are there, but still there are, like so many questions are out there. So those two drugs, remdesivir and hydroxychloroquine, are experimental drugs only. Like, they're not, highly proven, given to everyone. Right now, again, I want to emphasize, prevention. That's the best way of not getting the virus. If you get the virus, don't panic, don't be anxious. There are treatment out there. Majority of the cases will be mild and moderate. If you have some underlying conditions and diseases, then there is chances of you being getting hospitalized. But there is no reason to worry. Even if you are hospitalized, you can get recovered by antibiotic and aggressive treatment.
Yes, Dr. Sopkot, there has also been reports of some weaker strands of COVID-19 entering Nepal, which has resulted in not so severe scenario in a country like ours, that is Nepal. So as a health expert, what's your opinion on this?
Right. There are many, that's a very important question, and there are many research and many studies has been coming out, and there are some encouraging, some discouraging news. One of the news is like there are like several strains of coronavirus has come out. I mean, some news says some places, some studies says almost 30 different new strains. Some are saying like several different, and the chances of some other different variation of the virus going to South Asia, India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan, and some strain going to UK and Europe and America. There are, those are still to be seen. They are very, good theories. They have to be proven. But those could be true, those could not be true, like weaker strain. Those are all hypotheses. I mean, those hypotheses has to be experimented and has to be proven by research and then trials, and then that's still out at large. We cannot say by confirmation that there are some weaker strains out there in Nepal. I mean, there are also questions like okay, if you get the vaccination for tuberculosis, your chances of getting severe is lessened, and that could be true, that could not be true. So my message, I mean, as an expert in public health, and as all the Nepalese out there, in Nepal and also throughout the world, is don't take chances. Don't think that, okay, I'm in Nepal or India or South Asia, my chances of getting virus and then my chance of getting weaker strain of virus is there, and then I can go out freely. No, don't do that, because this virus is serious. You take every measures, every cautions that you can do to not to get infected. Chances are, I mean, if there are some weaker strains, that so much good. If not, we don't know yet. I mean, we can't say for sure. I mean, so far there has not been any fatality or any death in Nepal, and it's very, very good. I mean, and compared to Western Europe and in America and other places, I think Nepal is really in a good step and good scenario right now. I mean, with less than 100 people infected, and then no deaths so far, and then we have to keep it like that. We have to maintain that, and to maintain that, again, I mean, we have to test every person that we need to test. If you are suspected, not go out in the public and don't, increase the chances of anyone getting infected. And if you're exposed to anyone infected, take every measures to isolate and self-quarantine until you are sure that you don't have any symptoms. Because the only way not to get infected is by taking all the measures that you can, covering nose and mouth, keeping safe distance, at least 2 meters away from, any stranger, any person that you don't know of, and washing hands at every opportunity, 20 seconds, not less than that, with soap and water. And if you're, those are the places that, those are the way that you get, prevented. If you get infected, don't panic. Take, immediate medical care. You'll be recovered and well. Again, for the question about the weaker strain, we don't know for sure. There are some theories out there, but if the public and the people are just want to, be less serious about it, don't do it. Be serious about it.
And Dr. Sapkota, since you are also working as the chairman of the NRNA Health Committee, so how has been the role of your organization in helping the Nepalese community in the US?
Right. From day one, the NRNA Health Committee has been, working across the world. I mean, we have almost 8 million, at least 8 million migrants and residents out of Nepal, of Nepali origin, in more than 80 countries. There are countries where there are, not NRN branches. There are Nepalese out there as well. So from day one, we've been giving the message of, awareness and how people should be taking measures of, not to get infected. And if they get infected, what they need to be doing. So we've been, spreading this information via every medium and channel imaginable, by video, audio, by paper media, flyers, and all those, and disseminating information to different channels by Facebook, Twitter and Viber and all those. And anything that is possible out there, email out those. But still, I would like to say that, whatever we do is still less. The scenario, the pandemic is so big and so gigantic. I would like to take a comparison to a big fire. Like there's a fire in a village. So whatever firefighters we have, it's not enough. If it is a house, then one firefighter, 2 firefighters can take care of it. But the entire village, the entire town has been in fire. So whatever firefighters we have to take all the firefighters to put the fire out. So this is, everyone should be involved, and everyone should be taking part in, preventing and curing the infection. And the other thing that we've been doing in NRNA is spreading. Actually, we have different the doctors and nurses and the persons of Nepali origin who are in health profession across the world, from Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Europe, in America, and we have like different health teams, and there are some telehealth and the hotlines of medical doctors. So any Nepali can pick up a phone and ask these doctors what they should be doing, and if they have any questions, they can ask any time of the day. If they're not comfortable by phone, they can email or message and anything like that. So there are some hotlines in all the regions of the world, especially in, I can give you an example, in the United Kingdom, where we have hotline. I mean, we actually also have been spreading information via Facebook Live and question answers that's happening on the daily basis. And then doctors out there are working day and night. Almost we have like 2,000 doctors in the USA of Nepali origin, several thousand nurses in Canada, in UK, several hundred doctors in Europe. Those doctors, they're all working actually to help the Nepali community out there. The other thing that we are doing is doing like the regular live sessions through various media, Zoom and Facebook and all those, and we're actually taking questions and then telling them what to do. Other thing what we're doing is we're helping the government of Nepal in various ways by we recently actually donated almost like $100,000 worth of testing materials that we brought from Korea to Nepal government to health ministry. Recently, we donated another 100,000 worth of PPE, personal protection equipment to Nepali government so that Nepalese in Nepal can be protected. Other thing I would like to mention is the scenario of Nepali community globally is different. In the Gulf countries, in the Middle East, there are like thousands of people infected. Some of the Gulf countries can kind of mention that how many people are there infected. Some cannot. So in total, there are like 7 to 8 Gulf countries, and the Nepalese out there like almost like 3,000. At least 3,000 Nepalese migrants are infected. But even they are infected, we've been getting news that they have been treated very well. They have been in good condition, and they are monitoring their symptoms as well. Other area of concern is United Kingdom, in Britain, especially among our ex-Gorkha, personnel, who was in their 60s and 70s, some are in the 80s, and they have some underlying conditions. They have been heavily impacted. So unfortunately, the number of deaths we have reported almost like 73 deaths, recently. Majority of those deaths has been among the Gurkhas, ex-Gurkhas, ex-Nepali Gurkhas residing in London and other parts of the United Kingdom. So our message has to be really strong to them that, hey, try not to get infected by every other means. If you are infected, get aggressive treatment. Other area is of concern is New York and New Jersey, where there are a lot of Nepalese residing in closed spaces, in high density areas, and then they take public transportations. So that actually increases the chance of getting infections as well. So our area of concerns are, Middle East, the UK, and US, especially New York and New Jersey. And we've been all the time telling people to, hey, take all the measures not to get infected, and that's been going on. We would also have drafted a strategy for people coming back to Nepal. If the Nepal reopens, when it reopens, then has to, like, if the migrants and the other Nepalese coming out of the Nepal, coming out of the world, going back to Nepal, they have to go in a very controlled manner, in a controlled entry. They have to be in a quarantine in the country of origin, quarantine at the destination country, and then take every measures. Our aim is not to increase the rate of infection when the entry opens in Nepal and when people are starting going back to Nepal. One other thing I would like to mention is there are many Nepalese visitors coming out of Nepal to visit their families and friends and daughters and sisters and sons in the United States and UK and all those. They are now stranded there. They cannot go back. So they actually been staying here in the country. So we have been telling them, we have been giving the health advice. Some of them are taking medicine. Their medicine has expired and kind of ran out. We have been helping them refill their medications, all those things that we have been doing. I know I answered wrong, but those are the things.
Okay, Dr. Sapkota, thank you. Thank you so much for the updates. I think we are running out of time. So thank you so much for the update. Thank you so much. That was Dr. Sanjeev Sapkota, an expert in public health and chairman of the NRNA Health Committee, giving us some valuable update all the way from Atlanta in Georgia. And it's now time for our segment Public Pulse, where it text us with their opinion.
Public Pulse.
What's your take on the attempt to give continuity to the programs undergoing expensive under Parliament's decree? Your options are option A, compulsion to please lawmakers, option B, saving vote banks, and option C, insensitivity towards pandemic. The voting is on. Tab in AWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And that's all for the moment. Stay with us for more news and entertainment on KTVS Day. Good day and stay safe.